Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Now, you may have noticed I have stopped trying to crank out a video every day because it's just too much insanity trying to get a household of people to be quiet, a household with animals in it to be quiet so you can crank out a video. Sometimes you just don't feel like it, and I'm not trying to do this to be monetized. I'm solely here, like I said in past videos, so that my family, my future grandkids, can have a digital footprint of my voice, my looks, my thought on things. And it's kind of like a digital diary of sorts. Like, I can come here, say what I feel, say what I think on things that I don't mind sharing with the general public as well as future family. So that being said, if you are looking at today's background, you can see that we are the do not care generation. And by that, I don't mean the actual my generation of people. I mean this generation of age. We have hit an age where people just don't care anymore. I mean, people don't care how they act in public. People don't care how they look in public. People don't care that nothing's owed to them. They think that something's owed to them, and the minute you notify them that it's not, they show their ever loving behind. Now, for the sake of I'm a Christian, I will try to keep the cursing to a minimal. So if you hear one here and there, guess what? I'm a Christian, but I'm not dead. That being said, if you want to go out in public and show your ever loving behind, don't get upset when people reciprocate. Here's the thing: normal, average, everyday people do not show their ever loving butts when they're in public. They try to keep a civil head. They try to keep, you know, they try to act like normal people. That being said, what is wrong with some of you people that are in, I don't know, maybe your 20s? You act like freaking 3 year old. What is that? What are you, a product of gentle parenting? Is that what it is? Dude, I was in the store last night, and I'm not going to mention the store just in case the person sees this. I don't care if you know that I'm talking about you, sir, because I didn't want to be rude to you in the store, but if you recognize me and you come across this video, kudos on you. But we were in the store, me and my son, and you recognize my son as, I think he worked at this store with your wife maybe, but somehow you know my son, and I just happened to be with him. And so me and you had a short conversation on how to raise kids, and my 21-year-old son is a product of how I raised my kids. He's a decent functioning human being who has who is not confused on his gender. He is not confused on his role in life. He is not confused about anything. Okay. I had no problem when he was a child spanking his behind in public when and if it needed it. Now, don't get me wrong. It wasn't an every event occurrence. Like, I mean, I have one go to story on me spanking both of my boys in public their entire life because I did it once and they got the point. Okay, literally, my kids, my boys, are a year and a half apart in age, and so I wanted to say they were 4 and 5 or 5 and 6 at the time, and I had the younger one, which was with me last night, who is now 21, about to be 22. So anybody that wants to call DFS, you're 20 years too late, or you're 18, 16 years too late. But anyway, the point being, He was sitting in the front seat of the basket at the time. The other one was standing up in the back. And we're at Walmart, we're walking down the aisle of the slipper shoes aisle, looking for shoes for them. And so the younger one, again, they were like 4, 5, 5, 6 in that age range. And the younger one reaches out to grab some shoes. And I told him, I said, don't do that because you're going to grab it and I'm not going to notice you grabbed it. And I'm going to pull and it's going to pull your arm, or you're going to have enough pull and everything's going to come flying off the shelf. So don't do that. Because, see, when I corrected my kids, I had a conversation with them on it. Wasn't just don't do that. It was a directive of why don't do that. Because if you do that, here's going to be the natural consequence. Now, if you continue to do it, the action consequence is going to be I'm going to whip your tail. Now, me telling my younger son that, he was fine with it. It was the one behind him who was looking me dead in my face as I told the younger one not to do that. And so, okay, no problem. So, the older one thought he would be slick. He reaches his hand down, he grabs the shoes, and we're walking along. And sure enough, I wasn't paying attention because I thought that problem was solved. And he reached out and grabbed the shoes, and as I pulled it, a couple of shoes came off, and I looked at him, and I wore his butt out. As I was spanking him, the younger one decides to start laughing and acting a fool. I wore his butt out, spanked both of them right there in Walmart. Now, keep in mind, I had just moved here from New Orleans maybe 4 years prior, 5 years prior. I might have been in Missouri for about 5 years. That being said, my husband looks at me and he's like, oh, here in Missouri, you can't, you're not allowed to whoop. You can't whoop kids in public. I was confused. I looked at him. I said, "What do you mean I can't whoop them in public? I just did. I just did. I did it. It's done. It's a done deal." And they're both sitting up there because they know if they act a fool and start screaming and crying out loud, they're gonna get some more. Because Mama didn't play that. No, I didn't beat you to the point where you had to. I didn't beat them like that. What I did was I smacked them on their behind, open hand. At the time, they were fully dressed. They had on jeans, a coat, and if I remember right, they were both potty trained, so they had on their little undies. I whooped their butt, and because, I remember they had on black and green matching coats at the time. And I remember this like it was yesterday because it's the only go to story I have of ever spanking my children in public. Because you know why? It's the only time they ever acted up in public. And the other one they both learned real quick that if mama says one to this one, it's good for both of us. She don't have to tell both of us. If she tells one, it's good for both of us. And see, I never had a problem with that again. Now that being said, fast forward 20 some odd years later, you don't have my kids sitting around as grown ass men or my daughters in public going, what the hell does that even mean? Like at 20 something years old. And I don't know if old people are doing this. Like, okay, I'm about to be 54. I'm going to be 54 in May. Okay. That being said, I've never had a need to act like that in private, let alone in public. I don't think my kids have had a need to act like that in private, let alone in public. since they were 4, 5, 5, 6. I think by the time they were 8, 9, 9, 10, they had outgrown that stage. I mean, that's literally a toddler having a fit. And when toddlers have a fit, they don't consider the surroundings. And so, that being said, when you have a 23-year-old acting like they have lost their ever loving mind, people stop parenting your kids, because literally gentle parenting, all that equals is I didn't care enough to raise you. So anyway, getting back to this guy, right? Because I got off track there for a minute. But this guy at said store has his son and his daughter with him, and he's proceeding to talk to me and my son about raising these kids. And he's like, "Oh, I did this one to the little boy the other day, and that little girl, man, I had a state trooper and DHS or DFS or whatever they're calling them nowadays, Child Protective Services, I guess is what he was getting at. Tell him it's okay to spank them, but it's a fine line between you're gonna spank them and you're gonna um you're gonna spank them and you're gonna abuse them." And so I just kind of looked at him. I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't really think nothing of it." He was like, I believe in spanking my kids. I believe in raising my kids." Meanwhile, his kids are running around the store like they have lost their ever loving minds. Little girl runs up to him and goes, um, "I want my snack, and I want my snack right now." And I looked at my son and I looked at him. And my son looked at the little girl and said, "Who are you talking to?" Honey, I looked at my son and I walked off. Because, see, I don't tell people how to raise their kids, but my son knows these people. I don't know these people. I kind of gave him that nudge, like, stay out of it, mind your business. But again, he's a grown man and he knows these people and he does what he wants within reason. So I just kind of gave him that nudge. I walked off. He looked at the dude. He said something. I don't remember what he said. And then he walked off. He came up to me. I said, "You could go talk to him if you want." He said, "No, mom, I'm following you." Now, one thing I will say about my son, when I am in the store, he will shadow me anywhere I go in the store because he is a true man. Again, my son is not confused about his role in life. He is a true man, and his one job, he in his mind, this is never nothing I told him. This is it's embedded in him because he is a man. He feel like his one job is to protect me. And I love that about him. Because his one job in that store, in that moment, is to make sure nothing happens to me. So if I move, he moves. So I literally 90% of the time have to ask him, "Son, what do you want while we're in the store?" And I have to go over to what he wants so he can get what he wants, because he will not walk off and leave me standing in the store. That being said, I I love the crap out of that boy, but all my boys are that way. But anyway, I told him, I said, "Son, you know me. I don't tell people how to raise their kids." He's sitting up there saying he'll do this, he'll do that, and I'm sitting there thinking, "Son, if in this child had to be, if I'm guessing, she had to be between, I would say, 9 and 10, maybe 11, but I'm guessing between 9 and 11. But if I had to guess, actually probably 9 and 10. But I know some kids look younger than what they are. But anyway, she was old enough to know better. I looked at him, my son, and I said, "Son, if you would have ever, if you would have dreamed that dream of talking to me like that, I would have woke you up and beat you." But no, it's like my children would never talk to me like that. They knew better. And I'm sitting here thinking, my children wouldn't have talked to me like that because I had a man in the house. But then it's like, oops, He was the man. He was the dad. It's like, sir, do better. You can't sit there and talk about what you're gonna do, and then I'm telling my son because she ran up talking about some snack, and my son saw things I didn't see because I was too focused on what I was trying to get, and I really didn't give two craps about this man and his kids. Like I'm trying to look in the clearance aisle, and him and his kids are over there. So I go around, and at this point, I'm standing. I've walked over to the snack aisle because I'm trying to leave these people behind. My son said he noticed the little girl over in the clearance aisle, which is turns into the toy aisle. It's like the clearance. There's a clearance section like here, and then as you go further down, and if you turn to the other side, it's a toy aisle. And so I didn't even know what the little girl was doing. I heard the little boy behind me was mumbling crap to the little girl. And I'm thinking he don't even have enough sense to move. In all honesty, I told my son I really contemplating just farting on him and leaving. Okay, because that's the kind of person I am. Okay, I'm petty. So anyway, I didn't, but I contemplated it. I contemplated it very, yeah. So I just kind of walked off. So I went over to the snack aisle, which is like 3 aisles over, maybe four. And I'm looking around trying to get my boys snacks for the week. And lo and behold, Sir Dad comes over there. He had left the kids because I'm assuming he was trying to get away from them too. But he comes over there and he starts talking to us, me and my son, about how he's raising these kids. Well, lo and behold, the little girl runs over there. She starts talking like she's crazy. I walk off, which leads up to what I'm going to tell you. My son says, well, Mom, she was over there on the toy aisle, had some toy on the ground, and was bouncing up and down on it. I'm like, dang, for real? Yeah. See, my kids would have never done that. My kids, as they got older, I did allow them to touch things in the store because I'm a toucher. I will pick something up. I got to look at it. My husband will tell you because he almost lost his poop during COVID when that started. And then he kind of looked at me and said, you know what? I'm sorry. I should have never acted like that because I was so used to picking stuff up in the store and looking at. So when COVID first started, he's like, you can't do that. We can't. And then he thought about it and he's like, you know what? We don't even believe in this crap. We're not wearing masks. We're not getting vaccinated. We're not getting boosted. He's like, I shouldn't have treated you like that. I'm sorry. Life went on. It was great. So then, uh, as my kids got older in the store, I did allow them to touch things, to pick things up, to hold them, to look at them, because I'm a toucher. I like to see the texture of things. I like to feel things. I like to look at it. I like to know how it works. That's me. And so I allowed them to. Never ever once did they throw something on the ground, even if it was a bouncy ball, and try to bounce up and down on it, whatever. Anyway, this girl, I'm telling my son, I'm like, he's talking about all this stuff he did, he gonna do, he gonna. I'm like, if you ever would have talked to me like that, and I looked at him, I said, boy, you 21 years old. I still to this day don't think you'll talk to me like that. He was like, no. The way this little girl, I told him, I said, I would have grabbed you by the back of your shirt and your neck. I would have escorted you out of that store. I would have thrown your behind in the car and you would have sat there. See, I don't have no problem leaving kids alone in the car. If they old enough, lock the door, turn the air on, you good. Because, mm-mm. See, I come from an era, and I'm just fine, where we got to ride on the back of tailgates. Okay, we didn't need seat belts. No, now I'm not suggesting anybody break the law. Wear a seatbelt. Nowadays, I wear a seatbelt, but I'm talking about when I was a kid, when I grew up. It was a different time. It was a different era because I would have never looked at an adult and talk to people the way some of these kids do. But then you have these people that, oh, you're gentle parenting. You're not gentle parenting, honey. What you're doing is you're setting your child up for failure. The Bible says, he who spares the rod must hate the child, which means now you can take it how you want. I'm gonna break it down to you. He who does not discipline their child, you hate your kid because you're not teaching them any values. You're not teaching them any morals. You're allowing them to run rapid like wild animals because you don't want to be bothered with them, because the only reason you had them in the first place was so you could get welfare, food stamps, and housing, and now they're taking that from you. But that's a whole nother video. Anyway, you're not you're not gentle parenting your kids because you're not teaching them anything. You're neglecting your kids. And like I told the man in the store last night, society, when you're done with them, now they're left up to society. And trust me, we will deal with them when these kids hit 18, 19, 20, and they're no longer cute in the bullshit they're doing, which I didn't think she was cute in her bullshit last night, the little girl. Society is going to deal with them as such. They're going to deal with them like you're not a cute little kid in a diaper and a tutu having a fit on the floor in the toy aisle. You're now a grown ass person who's breaking the law, and we don't find you cute or funny. We don't care. See, here's the thing, sir. I said the entire story to say this. We don't care about your story, we care about the results. See, nobody cares about the fact that I whooped my kids 18, 16, 18 years ago in the Walmart grocery store. What they care about is today my kids are 21 and 23, and they're well-rounded citizens who know that they're men. They know their gender and their role, and that's what they live to accordingly. So I said all that to say nobody cares about your story. They care about the results of your actions. They don't care about what led up to it. All right. So my time is up. I'm watching my counter. If you know, you know. I love you guys with the love of the Lord. If you're interested in meeting my big brother Jesus Christ, leave a comment. All right. So again, I'm not doing daily videos because I just don't have it in me every day. And if I do one tomorrow, great. If I don't do one tomorrow, great. How about this? I will promise at least 4 to 6 videos a month. Other than that, I'm not trying to crank out one every day. I have too much other stuff to do. All right, guys. I love you with the love of the Lord. You want to meet my big brother Jesus Christ? Leave a comment. All right. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. Do it how you want to do it.